but a win would be a huge step in the right direction. And there's reasons, logical reasons, why this could work. Again, I've told you, Mike Vrabel, the best coach in the NFL, best record in the NFL of any coach over the last 3 years in the month of October. It's when he does his Mike-tober. It's when he does his best work. And right now you've got, by the way, Trey says this game has Nick Folk's name written all over it. He is the longest current active field goals made streak, so I'm going to jinx it right now. He's made 16 consecutive.
Well, Jim Wyatt already jinxed it by putting it out on Twitter.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed that. I apologize to Jim Wyatt. I do love his work. It is Joe Burrow is not healthy. Now they were quick on the trigger. They threw that quick passing game. The Rams were playing that too high safety look, which is what you're seeing now with great quarterbacks, is this too high safety look to shell coverage and make everybody just go the length of the field and be patient and force quarterbacks to take the checkdowns. And they moved Jamar Chase all over the place. They still got, like, Joe Burrow can't move, and the pressure was still there. The Titans do have two safeties that could play that shell coverage very well if they want to, and just, I guess, let T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd just eat over the middle the way all the other receivers have. But I think you can get pressure on him because he can't move and because the offensive line is not as good as Cleveland. I think that they're going to have a come-to-Jesus week of film study, and if they do not come out pissed off for greatness because of their film study, that's a problem in leadership on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there is no excuse for how they performed last week. Now, you did say this on F Words, and I mentioned it on Monday. Herndon said this. I think Jim Schwartz was a huge factor. I think his knowledge of the team, his knowledge of the players, his knowledge of the offense, the knowledge of Vrabel and how he teaches things.
It must have been because, like, I find it odd that the only reason being is because it's a totally new offense with a totally new offensive line with a lot of different players in different positions. You would have think that it wouldn't have been a factor, and I guess I was sorely mistaken on that. But I think that he helped the offense game plan against that defense. That's what I think.
Well, I think both sides. I think he helped both sides, and they don't have that here. There is some familiarity. By the way, I didn't know this, but this is the team that has played the Titans the second most amount of times in the history of the NFL. This is their 79th meeting, so I just find that to be interesting and random.
It's interesting.
And so I think they're going to play relatively well, and I think it's because of all the chatter, all the talk, all the pride. If they don't show up and play a good game, even if they lose, this is not a team that quits. Mike Vrabel's teams don't quit, and I don't want to see a team show up on Sunday against an injured Joe Burrow. By the way, the last team to rush for over 100 yards against the Tennessee Titans was the Cincinnati Bengals last year. 9 consecutive games without a team, 19 consecutive games without a player going over 100 yards rushing, the 2 longest active streaks in the NFL. So I think they can attack the offensive line. I think Burrow's going to get his numbers because they're going to go over the middle. Like, that's the book on the Titans. I think Hendrickson is going to destroy poor Andre Dillard, who got a lot more help than I thought last week. When you go back and rewatch that game, there was a lot more help with him, and that was still... I
think it was the incorrect form of help, but that's just...
That may be true.
I don't want to dive back into the Browns game.
Yeah.
So
No. So there are logical X's and O's, schematic, and sort of psychological reasons why the Titans will play a far better football game on Sunday.
Love to see if Christian Fulton is going to take all the negative attention that he has gotten. I mean, because Shane Bowen and Mike Vrabel both said he's got to do his freaking job, and there you go. I mean, like, these guys are coaching. Like, I don't think this is a coaching issue on the stuff that we're seeing in the secondary. I don't think it's a Chris Harris issue. I don't think it's a Shane Bowen issue or a lack of a Jim Schwartz issue or a Mike Vrabel issue. Right now, it is a Christian Fulton, Trey Avery issue. Like, week 1, Christian Fulton. Week 3, Christian Fulton. Week 2, Trey Avery. Like, these teams know the weak point to attack. We have talked about the numbers, the routes ran per target and all that kind of stuff. They know who to attack. And now Christian Fulton is getting basically like 3 players that he probably does not match up with well, and Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, unless he proves everybody wrong. And it's legit, like, put up or shut up time for Christian Fulton. He is the linchpin of this Titans team doing something on defense, because if he cannot stop the flooding, if he cannot close the floodgates, This team is going to have a hard time doing anything and utilizing their best asset, which is the pass rushing. And, Arden Key talked about it today in the locker room, saying that Deshaun Watson did a really good job getting the ball out quickly. 2.92 seconds is not good. It was one of the worst or slowest time to throws on all attempts where a pass was made. 2.92 seconds. He did not get the ball out quick.
Well, they couldn't tackle him.
They couldn't tackle him.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow can be tackled, but we've also seen Jadeveon Clowney whiff on Joe Burrow numerous times, and I'm not saying that any of these guys are Jadeveon Clowney except for maybe Harold Landry, but last week's showing does not instill me with confidence that this team is going to put it all together. But I do have the Titans, and they're going to have to win somehow, so it's probably going to be the defense that wins.
Well, some of the things that we could see that could help them with a victory here, building a win, of course, brought to you by the Kingston Group, so buildkg.com. Nashville's locally owned custom home and remodeling firm. Sinkers Beverages. I'll be up at Bluegrass, which is their sister store in Hendersonville on Saturday, like 11 to 3-ish. Come out and say hi. Bourbon Fest, Tequila Fest, food trucks, watching college ball. I'm not sure what else I need to tell you on that one. So we do appreciate our two wonderful and amazing sponsors here. 3 straight losses for this team, the Titans, against the Bengals. And remember, they did not have, I don't believe they had Jamar Chase or Joe Mixon in this game last year at home. That was where Samaje Perine, they just sort of like patiently worked him inside the tackles. I'm curious. Like, here's my defensive question for you from a scheme standpoint. Because, like, if no matter what you do, because the Titans don't blitz at all, that they're still just going to work the middle of the field with a really healthy collection of talented weapons. If they're going to do that, what about some zone blitzes here? Because the only way Joe Burrow's not mobile like he normally is, and the offensive line is not all that great. What are we doing? Like, let's play zone coverage. 2 high safety if you need to, 3 deep. Nick, I don't know, Tampa 2. I don't know what you need to do, but you can run some zone blitzes if you want to, and force Joe Burrow. Now, does that mean they're moving Jamar Chase around like they did on Monday night against the Rams, where he's everywhere? And I mean, they're pretty creative that way. But guess what? Your coaches too. So be creative with your guys.
They're gonna, they blitzed the corners and the linebackers more this past week than they have in previous weeks, and because we saw Roger McCreary with a couple of pressures, Azeez Al-Shaair, Jack Gibby, both with pressures as well. That's something they haven't done. So they were able to send some blitzes from different areas that they normally haven't been. They haven't. Again, maybe they felt like they haven't had to. The problem with sending a blitz is that I don't know where my trust value is on everybody else to communicate and do their job. There's been a lot of times where I felt like there was miscommunication, and maybe this is something that Jim Schwartz fixed, because if you remember back when they had the world's worst third down defense, they had the big issue was communication. And I feel like there's a lot of miscommunication going on right now, passing people off in zone coverage and stuff like that. I don't know who you trust back there. I don't trust Kevin Byard not to get burnt. I don't trust Christian Fulton not to get burnt. Amani Hooker, I think he'll probably be better this week. I think he was I'm going to chalk up last week's, errors and stuff to maybe having to play on Christian Fulton's side of the field. I think Sean Murphy Bunting is having a good year. I think Roger McCreary's having a good year. I don't know if the idea should be, let's put Hooker in the slot, Molden next to Kevin Byard, and I don't know if I feel like Christian Fulton's bitching is coming, right? Like, I feel like there's a certain point where you can't put Christian Fulton out on the field, and whether that's Elijah Molden stepping in and you put McCreary on the outside and stepping in the slot, and Amani Hooker in the slot and Molden, you got the players now, especially with Dane Cruikshank.
Try some shit.
You got the players not to have to rely on Christian Fulton if he starts failing you. He should be on the Xavier Newman leash, like a short leash. He gets burned in the first couple plays in the game. You should yank him out and never put him back in.
So Stoney nails it. I am taking Gibby off the field, and I'm putting Molden and McCreary. I'm getting all the DBs that I think are quote unquote dependable.
And Molden's a good pass rusher as well. Take Gibby off and put Molden in there. I don't know, but try something. That's all I want.
Yes, try some shit, because you know what they're going to do with an injured Joe Burrow who can't move, and receivers that they're moving all over the place. They're being creative. They're trying different things. The Bengals are. because they kind of have to. They're forced into it with Joe Burrow's injury and the offensive line situation. So why can't you do the same thing? You've got versatile pieces. Your whole spiel was positionless football. You've got Elijah Molden. You've got Amani Hooker. You can move them all over the place. McCreary can be moved all over the place. Be creative. Where's the Logan Ryan plays, right? Like the Logan Ryan was used in so many different ways. High point safety, in the box for run support, outside on the edge, blitzing in the corner. Like, you used Logan Ryan a million different ways. I'm not suggesting they have a player who's as good as he is or whatever, but like, you've got some versatile pieces that you can play positionless football in the secondary and let the front four work, and then bring one guy. And
right.
Just be creative with it. Like, this is your job as coaches. So that's what I want to see on the defense. On the offensive side, I think one of your points, because we can't just keep talking about Andre Dillard. We just can't. We can't. We know it's the biggest problem. We know
and it was still the best decision in free agency, because I saw that Trey put out, like, could we go back in time and not sign Andre Dillard? Okay, so we just not going to have a left tackle? Like, what's the plan at left tackle? I mean, in a free agency class that we all thought sucked and lacked talent, I'm not surprised that maybe one of the free agents they sign sucks and lacks talent. But it is what it is. There wasn't a lot of good left tackles out there that you needed to overpay for.
Right.
Like, there wasn't one that you need to overpay for.
I don't think we need to relitigate that. I mean, in hindsight, yes, Trey's right, but all of sports is not hindsight. You can't do that. So,
and also that there's nobody better that you could have gotten. Like,
probably not. So